These are two very interesting Pioneer decks, as we're seeing Fletcher get down the Heartfire Hero on turn 1 here on the draw against Gallagher. Azorius control, sort of a Pioneer mainstay, right? As we're seeing Portable Hole take care of that Heartfire Hero. But Rakdos prowess, more of a recent Pioneer deck, but a very powerful one, and certainly one that if you are Sean Gallagher, you need to be a little bit worried about what Fletcher is able to do early. Although we are seeing, the Ember Heart Challenger come down for Fletcher and then get immediately answered on Sean's next turn. So far, Sean doing a very good job of responding to Fletcher's pressure and board presence.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these players, they know each other's decks. They kind of know what they're up against. And Fletcher had a very classic start. You got your aggressive 1 creature into your aggressive 2 creature, the things that snowball damage, the kind of aggro classics. Is our turn 3 is getting a little bit more complicated. But yeah, Sean's just had removal spells at the ready, and he knew he needed those. He knew what he was up against, and he seems to have found a hand that has prepared for that pretty adequately. We'll see if Fletcher's most recent threat is going to stick around any longer.
Yeah, it's going to be a Monastery Swift Spear that just gets monstrous raged immediately while Sean's tapped out. That's going to be 5 damage at Sean.
That's a lot, but I mean, for turn 3, being at 13, you have to feel pretty good about that life total for the most part. Now, if you start taking a bunch of damage from the Swift Spear, that changes quickly.
Yeah, and we are going to get lost the Swift Spear. And I think there were 2 Wandering Emperors in Sean's hand, but not hitting a 4th land drop, it seems.
And I think that's going to be the story here. I think if Sean can really start to chain those Wandering Emperors together, the game's going to start to look very good for him. He's done so much answering Fletcher's threats so far. That's kind of the cadence you need for control. And then obviously the Wandering Emperor is very well known for it being both a removal spell and a snowballing planeswalker. It needs a 4th land for it, though. It seems to have found it.
Oh, that is huge. That is enormous for Sean. This Wandering Emperor is such a problem for Fletcher. Answers basically everything he's trying to do in a pretty clean fashion.
And you get to do so from a high life total. Sean's still not even at the halfway dead point. And, obviously Wandering Emperor gains life. It's just a big problem to fight through. Sometimes you can ignore it and just try to kill the control player anyway, ignoring the Wandering Emperor a little bit. A tough ass to do when you're still at 11.
Yeah, and we are going to swing in with this Manifold Mouse and the Monastery Swift Spear, as it is going to get eaten by the Emperor here.
Yeah, that's I mean, this is what he set up, and he was even patient with it, right? You saw he passed priority in attackers. He's like, all right, do what you're gonna do. Kind of gets to leverage the priority order a little bit, saying, all right, what you got? You got any more? You want to do any prowess triggers, anything like that? Try to get me dead? Okay, well, check it out. Now here's the Wandering Emperor, here's the blowout, have that, and then now you get to clean up the other creature, and Fletcher on close to nothing. Sean at a healthy life total with a Planeswalker left over. The second Wandering Emperor, like we mentioned, key. The first one would have been bad, but not really lights out. The second one is a tough ass to beat.
Yeah, and you're kind of in an interesting position there if you're Fletcher, because we saw the Infuriate come down, and that is what Sean responded to take care of that creature. But when you're attacking like that and your opponent has the Emperor mana, it's kind of a little bit of a game of chicken, right? Of am I willing to try to commit spells to my creatures, or are you going to try to take care of them before you take a little bit of damage? Unfortunately, did not pay off, as we're going to see the Slickshot Show-Off come down for Fletcher here. Very powerful card in this deck.
Yeah, I mean, really, the thing that has set off the prowess decks as kind of the premier aggro decks of the Pioneer format, Slickshot Show-Off, I think very well known how powerful it is, and how powerful it is for the different modes, like plotting it, protecting it from removal spells, even just not attacking with it. There's a lot of flexibility to this card that is not intuitive on it. I think aggro decks traditionally across Magic's history have gotten a bad rap for being simplistic, because you just play your creatures and attack and hope you kill your opponent. That's just not how aggro decks work at all. It's never how they worked. It is a common misconception that is entirely untrue. As I think Patrick Sullivan, really kind of the I guess, face of dunking on people that think aggro decks are simple, is kind of the face of that whole lead, the charge, if you will, of how complicated aggro decks really are. And here you go, Slick Shot Show Off not being tapped. Wandering Emperor can't cash out to take care of that one. And with the Gallagher kind of a precarious life total, I mean, Fletcher's not out of it yet. Creature land available as well.
No, yeah, we do have the creature land, which is very much face up, very much aware to Fletcher. But yeah, as you were saying, the misconception of aggro decks being this simple thing, the overall card quality in your deck is just so low that every choice matters. Like, these decks are winning off such narrow margins a lot of the times, and being able to really capitalize on that takes a ton of skill. And one tiny misplay of one of your, weak little common spells can be the difference between winning or losing. Whereas a lot of decks, for example, Azorius control deck, as we get later and later into the game, basically every spell Sean draws is a haymaker, right? Like, everything's huge. You cast them, it's having a huge impact. The same is not really true for Fletcher.
Yeah, it's exactly it. Overall, you can talk about which decks are easier, which decks are harder, but overall, between these two decks, I think I would rate them close to the same difficulty to play, and I don't think the average Magic player shares that. And so it's just something I want to highlight, as Fletcher looks like he's not doing a lot, but is actually doing a good job not playing into the Wandering Emperor too much, and really setting himself up to maybe be able to find a hole here. Really, Sean has stabilized. Obviously, he's not being attacked anymore. So Sean has really stabilized this game. So it's all about, can Fletcher build up enough of a board state with enough tricks in the chamber, maybe some direct damage and stuff, to be able to steal the game from Sean's clutches.
Yeah, I mean, Fletcher really showing so much knowledge and mastery over this deck, in a spot where I think a lot of people would think, oh, it's just over. The control player got to their ideal sort of end state where, 7 mana is such a key moment for the Azorius control deck, right? Because we've already got the Deluge in the yard, right? So Sean always has really good things to do with his mana. And Fletcher just being very patient and making sure that when he commits, he's doing something good with it.
I think that might be exactly what you're highlighting here. That 7 mana, represents Memory Deluge. So Fletcher just passes the turn again. That's a free Memory Deluge. Sean gets to use his mana, and now things might be out of Fletcher's grasp. So even if it's not ideal, this is the turn where I think Fletcher really has to move, because otherwise he's just going to lose to the in graveyard Memory Deluge.
Yeah, and so we are going to see a turn inside out onto the Heartfire Hero, which is going to get Dovin's vetoed, but that does still pump both the Heartfire Hero and the Slick Shot Show Off.
Yeah, really spreading out the damage here, making sure you're not getting destroyed by removal spells in combat, I think, is the heads up part of this here. And of course, if you can set up any kind of thing where your creature actually dies, you can do the damage equal to its power, which you're giving it a ton of, and then you get a creature for your trouble. A lot of tricks here with this turn inside out card when you kind of want your creatures to die. And Reckless Rage, the card that can make that happen.
Reckless Rage, very nice here, as we are going to use it to try and take care of this Samurai token, as well as our own Heartfire Hero.
Yeah, this is interesting. So this isn't lethal necessarily, right? We know Sean has a removal spell. I think he has a Get Lost that he can use. He has to use on the Slick Shot Show Off. Otherwise, you just die to that thing, right? It's not blocked. You're at 5 if these life totals are correct. And this is 2 spells. That number is 5, and we're done here. So the Show Off has to die. So there it goes. And now we're killing the Heartfire Hero, but it doesn't have the power yet, right? So we're talking about
2 damage to face?
2 damage.
Or is our counter still on the stack?
Yeah, that's what I was not clear of.
Because Fletcher did put the dice there, which makes me think maybe that was allowed to resolve.
So yeah, it looks like we took 2 off of the Heartfire Hero trigger. So at 3, but still has Wandering Emperor, still has a creature land. Not much else left over. Fletcher's nothing. I mean, I was saying needs a spell. Did find one.
Yeah, Swift Spear, Quite the card there. And we've got these map tokens. I mean, that is the problem with Get Lost against decks like this, is they can really make good use of those map tokens.
Yeah, that's extremely true. They're very, very important. But I think either way, it's a critical turn for Sean because he finally gets to cash out that memory deluge, which is what Fletcher was really trying to put pressure on him to prevent.
Yeah. And we are going to go ahead and use our map. Not sure what card we're seeing on the top there. It is very glary.
Yeah, that is pretty bright, but it hasn't been thrown immediately to the graveyard, so it can't be blank. Can't be a bad one.
Yeah.
Question is, what does anything? Like if you can't get trample on this Swift Spear, you attack, Sean blocks, then Sean just gets to exile the Swift Spear with the Wandering Emperor, gain some life, which is horrible for you, and you lose your threat. So that's not a good exchange. You need either some way to get like trample, monstrous rage type effects to punch through the token, or you just need to go wider. You need another creature that's going to be hasty and all these kinds of things. So if it's not one of those things, I feel like it's got to go. We chose to leave it.
Yeah, maybe just to get.
Oh, it's claim to fame.
Claim to fame.
That's sick, right? That brings back Slick Shot.
Yeah, brings back Slick Shot, and then can also pump it.
Yeah, here we go. Let's get a look at this one. Aftermath. Turn my head sideways here. 1 red fame. Aftermath. Target creature gets +0, gains haste until end of turn. So yeah, you can bring back Show Off. And then Aftermath, and you have 2 lethal threats. So that's something that we're going to have to account for. But I think Sean can leave up 2 blockers with the creature land. So we need a little bit more. Doesn't give trample.
Now,
right? No. Haste.
What if we brought back the Heartfire Hero? Might make things a little more complicated, because it would be a, 4/2 with haste?
Yeah, and all these creatures have 2 or more power, right? Or no, is the land a 1/4?
No, the land's a 2/3.
Okay. Yeah, so then that complicates things, but you need another point of power. So you can fame it, and that's 3, and that's lethal no matter what.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, so that's just lethal no matter what. Just the Heartfire Hero, if you can get it.
If we can resolve the spell, yeah.
Yeah, you need both to work.
Feels a little tough to accomplish.
Yeah, slams it. I mean, we're not going to wait. Things aren't getting better. And there's the Heartfire Hero.
There is the Heartfire Hero.
There's the Aftermath.
We are going to Aftermath it. This is going to get a counter. It's going to get +2/+0. The +0 actually being so helpful in this situation.
Yeah.
And haste.
Yeah, every line of text mattering on both of these cards. Supreme Verdict in hand doesn't do anything. No Teferi to instant speed that one.
Yeah, and not another Wanderer.
Is that just it? I mean, yeah, there's no way, right? I think that's what Sean can't believe. Yeah, wow. The Sire Relief stole game 1 here from Sean Gallagher. Wow.
Absolutely expertly done. Just an impossible to deal with Heartfire Hero. Congratulations, Fletcher Johnson, taking down game number 1, which I feel like with these sorts of decks, you're expecting so much post-board hate. You really want to get that first win.
Yeah, you really need game 1. And, if you're Sean, a disappointing, because again, this is what feels the worst about the control decks, when you feel like you have it all, you feel like you've turned the corner, but there's just that little window, and Fletcher did a great job punching the hole, as you would expect, these Masters and the Championships to do, but it's still so exciting to see. Really gets the blood pumping. But we got more Magic to play, so let's take a look at Sean Gallagher's sideboard really quickly, and what he can do against the Rakdos Prowess Menace. And I think he's got some tools, start off with those 2 Beza the Bounding Spring, got a Detention Sphere, Dovin's Veto, 2 Enduring Curiosity, 1 Farewell, the Kahira Companion, 2 Mystical Disputes, a Narset, Parter of Veils, 2 Rest in Peace, and 2 Shark Typhoon. Yeah, Beza just already looks like a slam dunk, and then from there we can figure out what our Removal Swell suite needs to look like, I think.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Do you think Rest in Peace comes in against a deck like Fletcher's?
So what, we're talking about hitting Claim to Fames?
We hit Claim to Fames. We also turn off the Heartfire Hero, right? because it won't
Yeah,
die
because it gets
anymore. It'll
exiled. It's not a
exile.
dice trigger. Yep. Okay. And also turns off like the turn inside out value, although you're already kind of good against that, right? You have a lot of exile effects between
Yeah,
Portable
yeah.
Hole, March of Otherworldly Light. I don't know. That sounds weaker to me than like even like a Shark Typhoon where you can make like an instant speed blocker, get a card for your
Sure.
trouble. That seems a little more appealing to me if you're going to go for just like what's the worst thing in your sideboard that's justifiable in the matchup. But I mean, you might have a lot of cards out, right? Like traditionally against
Yeah.
aggro, your control decks don't need as many of their haymakers. They don't need as many
Mhm.
of their big planeswalkers. Maybe your Narsets are really bad, so like you can reach for some number of like Memory Deluge Narset stuff. Probably more so the Narsets because you have to tap out on your main phase for them,
Yeah.
and really just rely on your Wandering Emperors plus like a Teferi or two to be your end of game haymakers, and then the rest of your deck could just be removal and counter spells for problematic spells. I think that's kind of where you're going to want to pivot to, and your counter spells are a little bit worse, but they're not that bad. You know, there's a lot of
Sure.
stuff that you want to answer with just counter spells that I think you trim some. Maybe the vetoes are bad, but the No More Lies, for instance, I think are probably just going to stay in. They're great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Let's
yeah,
see if we can get a look at Fletcher's list real quick and see what he might be bringing against this control deck. Seeing a lot of Thoughtseizes. Nix, the adversary, the bane of every control player's existence.
strong one.
Screaming
Nemesis is not bad either,
Nemesis.
right? Another hasty threat that does some like extra value. I can't hate that one. There's a lot of tools for both of these players. Like you said, the 4 Thoughtseize. Obviously, we don't want the 3 Fatal Push, but you could bring in the 4 Thoughtseize, the 2 Obs, probably the 2 Screaming Nemesis, whatever. 2
Yeah.
Screaming Nemesis. I don't know. And then you have some other stuff left over that I don't know that you want. Your Reckless Rage is pretty bad. Your Heartless Act I don't think is needed. And your Claim to Fame looks good there, but I mean, especially if we're bringing in Rest in Peace, it's not that good. I don't know. That card I don't think is going to be good on average because once again, they have so many exile effects. No More Lies exiles. You have your March of the Otherworldly Light, your Wandering Emperors. I think that card's kind of bad on average, even though it won game 1 there very masterfully.
Yeah.
I think that's a card you actually might be looking to cut.
Sure, yeah, I could totally see it. Looks like our players are just about ready for us to hop back down to the feature table as they are drawing their opening hands here. And Sean going to be on the play for this one.
Huge. A play draw obviously matters a lot in these kinds of matchups, especially, you know, where you just need the time in order to get to your Supreme Verdict. Having your Supreme Verdict like 1 turn earlier can matter a lot. You know, even just removal spells like Detention Sphere that we see in Sean's hand. That's a 3 mana removal spell. You don't want to take 1 billion damage off a creature before finally having to Detention Sphere it. Being on the play contributes a lot to that.
Yeah, I think that's a Thoughtseize, a Heartfire Hero. A lot of options here for Fletcher.
Maybe part of the awkwardness of Thoughtseize is you kind of have to decide, and that is the decision he made. You have to decide between playing a creature and getting to the board or just Thoughtseizing now and getting the best of the bunch. Lots of Narsets, so I was just very wrong about sideboarding. Sean loves it.
Yeah. We got the Narsets, we got the Sphere, and we've got the Portable Hole. Kind of awkward no matter what.
I like taking the cheap spells. I want to take the portable. Make sure that if Sean's casting anything, it's his entire turn. I like that from the aggro side, especially early like this.
Yeah, looks like Fletcher looking through his own hand, you know, trying to line up what his game plan is, knowing Sean's cards in hands, and is going to go for the cheap spell. Portable Hole is the choice off of that Thoughtseize.
Yeah, I mean, you took a turn off to play your Thoughtseize that is inherently tempo negative, and so you know one way to offset that is by taking cheap spells and making sure that you know whatever Sean's plays are expensive, and therefore you rebuy some of what you had lost. Heartfire Hero. Now
Heartfire
in the clear.
Hero.
Well, not really in the clear, but you know, in the clear-ish.
Yep, and here comes the Narset.
Yeah. I mean,
see a No More Lies. We see a Deduce. Not sure what the white spell was.
On the play,
taking the
has
Deduce.
time for it, yeah, and time for a Deduce. I mean, this is a signal of strength to me. If you're playing, you're tapping out for your draw spell and finding another draw spell over other options. To me, that is a sign of strength. I think I'm winning this game. I feel good about my spot.
Yeah, we are going to see Fletcher play the Manifold Mouse. Works very nicely with the Heartfire Hero. That's going to get double strike, a +1/+1 counter, take out the Narset. Clean
Not
answer.
bad at all. And not the same threat, which matters a lot for the Detention Sphere you know about. So being able to diversify your threats here, big deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What
So we head back on over to Sean. I think that might be a Beza in hand. Not sure. Yeah, that is. Oh, and
no.
this is devastating for Fletcher.
Yeah, this is
Although,
is a
wait,
haymaker.
does Fletcher have less life than Sean right now?
Yes, but he does get
because
the
of the Thoughtseize?
So we get the fishes, and that's about it.
That's huge. That's huge. When your Thoughtseize also reads your opponent does not gain 4 life, that's a good deal.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. You kind of get like a inherent burn spell as a result. I love those fish tokens. It's a pretty artwork there.
Fishy. It is one of my favorite tokens in Magic.
Yeah, I don't know that I had
incredible artist.
Yeah.
The original painting, she used silver leaf, like actual silver. So like the fish like shimmers in the light. It's so good.
That's actually insane. That is so incredible.
Yeah.
I bet that painting's worth a fortune. You see some of these original paintings go for sale. Oh, so expensive.
Absolutely. Shout out Rhonda Libby, incredible Magic artist. Did incredible work in Bloomborough. As we are getting our 2 fishes.
Yeah, I think Fletcher is in the tank here. Or just think. Yeah. Which, I mean, fair. There's suddenly a lot of toughness where you don't normally have to deal with that in the control matchup. And, of course, only 2 Beza in Sean's sideboard. So having one here on turn 4, following up all these draw spells, that might be why he felt so confident that he could just take all these turns off. We just had Beza ready to go.
Slick shot show off.
Great way around Beza.
Going to combat, give our Manifold or our Heartfire hero double strike, swing the team.
I love it. These creatures and the sizes they are means that there's great blocks for Sean, which can only mean one thing. Fletcher's got tricks. So now you have to decide how do you not get blown out by whatever tricks Fletcher has.
Yeah, as we are putting 1 fish on the Manifold Mouse and a fish and a Beza on the Heartfire hero.
Sean's facial expression, he doesn't even look confident in that. Here comes the rather telegraphed tricks. The question is, is it too bad anyway? Are you getting destroyed by this even though it's coming? Probably. Looks like it.
This is so much damage. This might be it. This might be lethal. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my goodness. Burn together as the second main phase. You get to just fling it to the face. And that's lethal.
Yeah, just an astounding amount of damage, and really the Rakdos prowess deck showing what it does best, which is hit you for a ton of damage on turn 3 or 4, and then sack the Heartfire hero to end it. Incredible! Yeah, congratulations, Fletcher, taking down our first round of Pioneer.
An incredible display. I mean, I think if you sit down both those players and ask them how they feel about the matchup, I think Fletcher would feel largely pretty good. A lot of the Pioneer control deck is set up to beat Phoenix, which is a little bit of a slower aggressive deck rather than the Prowess deck. And that's part of the reason to play Prowess. I think that's part of, maybe one of the benefits. You actually have a good matchup there. And overall, it really looked like Sean had his best cards and then died immediately. And that is really just shows the explosiveness of a deck like Rakdos Prowess.
Yeah, I really want to highlight too the skill put on display by Fletcher in that first game. We saw such patient, deliberate play, clearly knew what winning needed to look like, made it happen. It's so cool to get to watch Magic like this at this level.
Well, speaking of Magic at this level, we are not done. We have a backup feature match. That was a very quick round, so I have to imagine we're going to be going in to our backup feature match pretty early. So we'll take a look at that. This one, a very different texture than what we just saw, even though it features, I'm sure, some of the same, I don't know, cards, lands at least, but very different. We're doing a lot more creature stuff. I don't know what the exact composition, but we're talking about Pioneer. There's a lot of red and black cards, and there's no change here. We got Kamari Bulger on Junda Sacrifice versus Frederick Borgaminki. Borgaminki? I'm gonna go Borgaminki. There's no way that you pronounce that E. I don't believe it. He can, and Frederick can beat me up. I'm so bad at pronouncing things. I'm prepared to be beat up as we are going to go here. Yeah, there we go. The top of the round here. Here you go. Junda Sacrifice on the right, Company on the left.
And for Company, we're going to see turn 1 elf into immediate fatal push from Kamari, and then Thalia for our turn 2 play. 2 mana for that oven. That's an expensive oven.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not normally, I can't imagine Thalia being that good. There's not have any non-creature spells really in this sacrifice deck. But I guess it's not true now that they play the 4X Scavenger's Talent and 4X Fable. You have a ton of enchantments. So Thalia actually seems like a card that maybe got organically better with the way these sacrifice decks are being built, or at least how Kamari's building his deck here. He has just a ton of these kind of more expensive enchantments that have a lot of grinding power.
Absolutely, absolutely. As we are tapping out for a Kellen, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know what the spell version of that is. I believe Journey On, perhaps? Or did we just play
Yes.
Kellen?
I think we might have. It's a little hard to. Well, given where Thalia is on the board, I'm gonna assume we just did Journey On.
Yeah, lands in front of spells. What are we talking about? We threw the map token across the. Okay, so we did Journey On. That's what I was confused about. Where's the map token? Did we activate it?
Right.
Those kinds of things.
An expensive Journey On.
Thalia hitting both players in what is a shocking twist. 35 creatures in Frederick's deck. Not that many non-creature spells.
Yeah. So you're going to head back over here to Frederick. We see a Llanowar Elf. We see a Brutal Cathar. We're going to crack the map on our Thalia.
Sure.
We have an
spell already used
for Frederick as well, and that's going to be a land to hand.
Land 5 could come up. You need 5 mana. Your companies are 5 mana now, so you know.
True.
Maybe the last land you want to draw, but yeah, not a land you're upset to find, I think.
Yeah.
3
and yeah, we are going to swiftly deal with that Thalia with a Heartless Act.
Yeah, what was perhaps the most telegraphed Aven Interrupter in the universe. We held up all of our mana with all our cards in hand, and yeah, that one got plotted.
Yeah, which now the plotted cards are going to cost 2 more, but also because it's a non-creature spell, it's going to be 3 mana again to cast that.
Yeah, it's just the same price. That's kind of messed up, huh?
3 mana Deadly Dispute.
Wow,
Stack the Oven.
Chomping through Kamari's mana. This is brutal.
Yeah, we get a treasure token. We're going to use that to play this Blood Tithe Harvester, make a blood. We're just turning artifacts into other artifacts.
Moving game objects between zones. Super sweet.
Ovens into treasures into blood.
I'm not much of a, I don't know, a recycler. I'm talking about like a tinkerer is what I'm looking for. We turn artifacts into other artifacts, but I don't know how you turn an oven into blood without hurting yourself or others. Anyways, it does represent a removal spell for Thalia that doesn't cost any more mana than it already costs, which, given how much Thalia has really hurt Kamari this game, I was going to talk about how I feel like the sacrifice deck normally played a bunch of creatures and you're kind of fine. No, this has absolutely decimated Kamari and his ability to spend mana efficiently. And yeah, that's not stopping now. Frederick got even more good answers to what's going on the other side of the board.
Yeah, as we are going to see, is that a Skyclave Apparition?
Yup. Skyclave Apparition, munching the Blood Tithe Harvester. Got Kellen at it as well. I mean, this is just a big attack force. Ooh. But hey, here's a big blocker. Check this one out. Right. Oh, we got a reader. Yigra.
Reader of all. Yeah, now, we don't have the cat in the yard, right? And we don't have a food token, so we don't have an infinite. It looks like
we made him put the lands behind. Oh, tough crowd, the coverage team. Giggles by all.
Tough.
Love this.
That's tough.
Yeah, so
but I mean, dealing with this Egress still not super easy. We do still have Ward Sacrifice. Effectively,
yeah, 6/6. Like this thing is huge. Even outside of the other cat configurations and what have you, it's massive. And so we did sack. Yeah, other creatures are food, so we had to sack one of our creatures here in order to Brutal Cathar it, which we did successfully do.
Yeah, it's going to be a big attack. And we got rid of our Thalia to play another
one Oh yeah, everything coming up Frederick with Kamari at 4 and still under Thalia lock. I can't imagine we're going to see too many more turns. 3-mana Deadly Dispute, not really going to dig you out of this one.
Yeah, Deadly Dispute the blood, turning blood into treasure. And remember, this was a blood that was originally an oven. We've gone oven, treasure, blood, back to treasure.
It's the life
Who knows
cycle
what that treasure will be?
oven. When you see ovens at the
if,
thrift store, they're just waiting to become blood and enter their next life cycle.
more than anything, I want to see this treasure get cracked to play another oven.
Sure, yeah,
To
the cycle
really
begins
complete
anew.
the circle. Yeah.
Witch's Oven, artifact, subtype, Phoenix. begins anew. Okay,
Well,
we're talking. We got some plays. Oh, it's Heartless Act time, so we can kill the Brutal Cathar. Pay 3, go to 1.
Looks like we're calling a judge.
Okay.
Maybe
did we
a
miss
question of
flip?
No, because Brutal Cathar just came down.
I can't get a great look at what's being asked. I mean, we're pointing to all the relevant things going on. So something about this interaction, I don't know if it's how much mana should I pay versus do I have to pay ward or whatever. I'm going to look here at even Interrupter. Nothing crazy going on with this thing, right? It becomes plotted. It can cast as a sorcery without paying its mana cost. But it costs 2 more, and then it costs 1 more. Yeah, this feels like we did everything right.
Maybe just trying to make sure that the Aven Interrupter exile tax does not affect Yeager re-entering when Brutal Cathar dies. Maybe.
Okay. Brutal Cathar.
Not sure.
Yeah, I'm not clear what's going on here. There's a lot of hand waving. These players seem to be mostly on the same page. So I'd have to imagine at the end of the day, we're going to see exactly what we'd expect. You know, ward. No, actually, there's no ward pay 3 life because it hasn't flipped. Like I said, I was focused on it flipping and it has not flipped. So yeah, that's going to die. So we actually do get to stay at 6. We have a treasure and a Yigra verse.
The question might have been, does Yeager get a counter when you kill the Brutal Cathar?
Oh, sure. Yeah, like the rest in peace trick. Well, either way, that appeared to be game 1. I don't know. That was there at the end. I was very confused. We're all very confused. But to me, that looks like Frederick won game 1. So
yeah, just a lot of damage on board. I assume it's got to be a Frederick win there.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no that Yeager doesn't. I mean, without Cat or whatever, doesn't like kill out of nowhere. So I think that's going to be of game number 1. So we're going to get a quick look then at Kamari's deck, the Jund Sacrifice deck, the Yeager, and all the fun stuff that we just saw in the last game. And of course, most importantly, the sideboard, which starts things off with the Phoenix Respect, 4 Leyline of the Void, 4 Thoughtseize, 2 Haywire Might, 2 Obnixilis, and 2 Torch the Tower. With of course your Giganta companion. So love this. 4 ofs in the sideboard. You know what you want. You know what you want to beat.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as cards that we might want to be bringing in here, I mean, those Torch the Towers seem pretty valuable, but I mean, what else really do you think?
Yeah, I think that's like it. I think you could maybe, like, if you feel bad about how that game played out, you maybe can trim on some Fable stuff. I mean, Fable's broken. Everybody knows it's broken, but like, Thalia already eats your lunch. So maybe cutting down on some of your expensive non-creature spells is the direction you want to go. But yeah, I literally just want to bring in the 2 Torch the Towers and cut probably, like I said, either 2 Fables, some non-creature spells. I'm cutting either Fables, Scavenger's Talent if you don't think you're going to have the mana for that. But really simple sideboarding. And honestly, this is a matchup that I don't see a lot of sideboard hate for. And I don't expect it to be a hard matchup for Kamari. I mean, cards like Mayhem Devil and all these things, I would expect to just eat this Selesnya coming deck for lunch. Kind of a rare, maybe potentially rare case of Thalia just absolutely destroying Kamari there as we kind of analyze what the sideboard options are. So over to the company deck. Speaking of, we have Frederick's Selesnya company deck.
Yeah, I mean, effectively 8 Llanowar elves. Pretty
sure.
Nice
yeah, the classic 8 elves deck. Been a thing since the inception of Pioneer, and kind of the latest implementation. Got another kind of heavy of the same card sideboard. 4 Knight of Autumn, 3 Portable Hold, 2 Brutal Cathar, 2 Elite Spellbinder, 2 Ghost Vacuum, 1 Anointed Peacekeeper, and then of course the Werefox Bodyguard. I guess, how much graveyard hate do we have in the main deck? Because we probably need to check the cat. That seems like one of the more annoying things getting in your way.
Yeah, Ghost Vacuum feels, I think, pretty good here.
Yeah, I think we do want it. I agree with you. I think we want Ghost Vacuum. I mean, I think you do. It's weird because your removal spells matter, but as we saw, they also have a ton of non-creature spells. There's a little bit of a pronged attack. So, like, I like some of the removal spells that do other stuff. Things like the Brutal Cathars, the Werefox Bodyguards, that kind of thing, more so than the Portable Hold direction. Even though Portable Hold does get Witch's Oven, it feels more narrow to me, and more specifically hitting the cards that don't matter as much, versus being able to play to the board, find it off Collected Company, and also still be interactive with your opponent. I think those are your best options in this matchup, and those are the cards I'd reach for first. If you have enough outs, maybe reach for the Portable Holds and stuff like that, but I think on average they're worse than the other options, even though they're cheaper.
Sure. Well, I think our players are ready here for game 2, so we'll get down to that. Looks like they have resolved their hands. Looks like I do see a Fable in Kamari's hand here. Frederick looks like going down to 5, perhaps.
Both players reaching for cards. They both got mulligans here. It looks like. Oh no, that's actually, we're not even putting on the bottom. We just get to keep it. We got 7 cards.
Yeah. Oh, Ghost Vacuum on turn 1.
Not Frederick. Playing any games.
We're gonna play Den of the Bugbear as our second land. Well, we're thinking about it because the cat is coming down immediately.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't think. I guess I should have clarified.
Don't think about the cat dying.
Yeah. Don't even dream about this cat dying. It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Collected Company among the mix. Actually has a ton of like pretty good 3 and 4 mana spells, but needs the lands for them. Does Frederick.
Fable on 3. Very nice for Kamari here.
Yeah, and with kind of Frederick's anemic start, gonna have the time to be very effective, and no 3rd land, that's a big deal. Big deal for Frederick and his creature deck.
Yeah, that is a Voice of Resurgence as the play for Frederick behind the lands again.
Behind the lands again. Yeah, we're so back. We're back.
We're so back. We've never been more back.
We've never been more back.
The creatures have never been more back.
Yeah, they are as back as you can get them.
Another Fable.
All right. I don't know if Frederick, when he's hitting his land drops, if these would be effective, but I'll tell you what, when Frederick's missing his land drops, these Fables are going to be crushing.
Absolutely. As we see, this goblin get in, make a treasure.
I think we bricked again.
Oh.
They've never been more front.
Yeah, the lands have never been more back. As Frederick just gonna scoop to this, powerful board like Kamari has assembled, we're gonna have a game 3, Drake.
Yeah, I love it. These players understand what's going on. They understand how this is going to play out, and I think that was a pretty clear. The writing was on the wall, even though the game was still very early. The writing was on the wall. So we're going to take a quick moment here as we're kind of shuffling up here for game 3. I don't think I see players making too many adjustments. We're going to take a quick look at these players, and we do have some nice player slides presented. We're going to take a look at Frederick here. Take a look at his 2024 Energy Series accomplishments. Played 5 events, did win 1. And then, of course, that represents his top 8. So, nice. If you're going to make top 8, just win the whole thing.
Yeah, make top 1.
Easy. Top 1, exactly. It should just be adjusted to top 1. And of course, the rest of he's from, I believe that's Champaign, Illinois. I'm not familiar with the town. I only lived in Tinley myself, but I'm sure it's fine. Loves cooking, listening to music, and his hot take here. We got universes beyond, more like universes be gone. I think Frederick and I would have a lot in common here.
Frederick, I'm afraid you left your hot take in the freezer. That is ice cold, my man.
Well, not according to Wizards of the Coast. I mean, based on the product.
Well, sure. I guess depending on who
it depends on what you're asking.
It could be a very hot take.
The child development specialist, and of course, he qualified by winning our August Trios Showdown here alongside Charlie Dusterberg and Kamari. So this is a little bit of a team teammate show off here. So kind of segues nicely into Kamari. Take a look at him and what he's got done. Qualified alongside Frederick, again, in that August Trios Showdown. And he played 9 events, though. Best finish, of course, was that win alongside his teammate, but did actually have 2 top 8s. You go to Oak Park, Illinois is his hometown, and has Manivault top 8 here. Was a 1K. Manivault actually is a nice shop. Familiar with that shop myself. Quite nice. And he's got a hot take as well. Every 2-for-1 is a hymn to Torok. I mean, it's a hot take because it doesn't make any sense. So I don't know if you get it.
It's deep. It's philosophical. It's brooding. It is, It gets people thinking. As a hot take should.
Well, Kamari, I love the smiles. This guy's all smiles. He's got finger guns. He seems like, but this whole team, all these players seem like they'd be great to sit around and have a conversation with. And I really do need to get Kamari aside and talk to him about the every 2-for-1's a hymn to Torok, because there's a lot to unpack there. 2-for-1's are pretty fun. Hymn to Torok is pretty miserable. So bridging the gap here for me is like tough. It's tough.
Exactly. It's a stimulating question.
I feel so stimulated. Anyways, on that note, back down to the match we go between these two players as they're well underway. Not a hymn to Torok, just a lonely Thoughtseize here for Kamari.
Yeah, and looking at, I think, a 2-lander here once again for Frederick. Really powerful sign of a powerful Magic player to lose on a 2-lander where you get screwed, and then next game be like, nah, this time it'll be good. And statistically, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the important part. You have to be statistically correct. Otherwise, you're kind of dealing with the people, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the whole thing over, doing something over and over again, expecting a different result. So I hope for Frederick's sake, it is a different result, and the statistics ideally agree with Frederick as well.
As we go back over to Kamari, is going to play a very strong turn of the Talent and the Oven back-to-back, and we're going to hit a land off the top here for Frederick. And is that a Coco? Was that the other card? I believe,
the other card is Collecting Company. And Knight of Autumn here looking great, right? Multiple targets. I mean, not one we highlighted in the sideboarding, but got juicy options here between Oven and the Scavenger's Talent as far as what you can hit and what you might want to hit.
Yeah, it seems really good. I mean, obviously hits a lot of the early things. Also, once Yeager comes down, hits every creature, right?
True. Yeah.
Everyone but Yeager is an artifact.
I guess, I mean, it's not very flavorful. If Yeager is the eater of all, it too should be food. Talk about
are what you eat, I suppose.
Yeah, Yeager should say creatures. All creatures are foods. It's all. All. You have to use the word all.
Tapped Blood Crypt and leveled up the Talent. And we had a Mayhem Devil in hand there, but we know about the Brutal Cathar. We know about the Interrupter. So Kamari clearly setting something up here.
Yeah, that's strange, right? Because like the chapter 2 here of the Scavenger's Talent doesn't seem like something you care that much about. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, target player mills to. Like obviously, there's uses and milling is strong for a variety of reasons in Magic. But as far as like the context of this matchup, it doesn't really seem like what this is about. So I mean, obviously it uses your mana, but I mean, you're facing down pressure. Not really worried about it? I guess not, is Kamari.
It might be a situation of Kamari has something like Yigra in hand and is trying to set up a situation where he can just win the game. And it's more about just getting as many cards into your own graveyard as possible to, eventually do the cat loop shenanigans.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe I am underrating kind of the speed and efficacy of the second chapter of Scavenger's Talent in this particular matchup. Because, from here, it looks like we deployed Mayhem Devil this year. We could have done that last year. We could have done some blocking. And, it looks like things got worse. Now, we get to resolve company and all these things that are going on. It's an odd play, but it speaks to, like you just said, it speaks to a plan. And if Yeager is the plan, that's what you have going on. And, you're trying to clear the way for that. That would make a lot of sense to me. But it's just not something that is intuitive to me. And to be 100% honest with everybody at home, I legitimately think sacrifice decks are probably the biggest hole in my game. I just don't get them. Whenever you hand me a sacrifice deck, I'm just like, what am I doing with any of this stuff? I'm just blowing my stuff up and hoping it's valuable. So I'd rather just keep my stuff. I don't do them. I can't do it. I can't stomach it.
Well, I was a rucksack gamer for many years, and I can tell you, Drake, let me give you a little bit of expert analysis.
Hit
That's
me.
a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage that Kamari is staring down the barrel of. In my experience as a rucksack gamer, I would be scared to be taking this much damage.
You'd be worried about this. This might be problematic for you. Not something you're excited about. Okay, well, Kamari's
Yeah.
not excited about it either. It's the two friends and teammates for this qualifying for this event shake hands, and Frederick is going to win. Off the back, hey, like you called out, takes a very talented and sure of themselves gamer to have something spectacularly fail like that on camera, nonetheless, and then immediately run it back, rewarded with a win, and more of it, mastery all the way down. From all these players,
absolutely.
just mastery.
Yeah, huge congrats to Frederick there, and very well played by both players. But Frederick going to take it down here in the Pioneer with the Coco deck. So very nicely done.
Interesting choice. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of Selesnya company in the event. I think there's only 2 company decks, I believe. So realistically, a great performance and a great start. And looks like actually we're going to get a chance to talk to Frederick about that company deck here in just a moment as he does get set up. And here we are, Frederick. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah, we were talking a little bit about at the end of that match. Obviously you and Kamari qualified together. This is kind of a fun matchup. So you knew what you're on. You knew what you're on anyway. But I want to talk about your deck choice, and specifically your deck choice in context of that matchup. Talk to me about the decision to play company and how you feel about the sacrifice matchup.
Yeah, I love casting collected companies. I love 2-for-1s. And that card hasn't been good enough for Modern for a while, where I used to love playing it and hitting, Eternal Witness. And I wanted a decent Phoenix matchup. So that seemed like the natural place to go. The deck I couldn't find a Pioneer deck that clicked with me for a really long time. I just don't love the play patterns of the format. But for some reason, when I was playing Selesnya Coco, it was just sort of like that. And I enjoy it. I played it in Elmhurst and did okay. And I pretty much locked it like a month ago as the deck I was going to play.
Wow, that's early. So you obviously know what Kamari's on. Did you prepare for the event with Kamari?
I did, yeah. He's my teammate. We go to the same local game store. We tested like a couple weeknights a week at our LGS, and Kamari has a habit of changing his deck like 6 times a week before the event. So I got to play test against a bunch of stuff that he was sure he was going to play, and then didn't. So he Rona Luca a few times. But yeah, we ended up testing this matchup a little bit, and I've felt pretty good about this matchup. I went down on the Elite Spellbinders and Anointed Peacekeepers to put the Knight of Autumns in my sideboard because it's just such a flexible sideboard piece. And honestly, I think my mistake might be not having them in my main board. It just feels like it's so relevant in so many matchups, and I'm really, really happy with how it's performed in this matchup, and I'm bullish on the card. I think I'm losing my train of thought. Ask me another question.
Yeah, during your match, I commented on how I thought it was a sign of a very strong and competent player that in game 2, you got mana screwed on this 2-lander, and then game 3, we saw you keep another 2-lander.
Strong and competent might be the words I would use.
Well, I was going to ask, how did that feel, in game 3, knowing it's the last game of the match, seeing another 2-lander fresh off the heels of losing with one? What was kind of going through your head?
So the 2-lander with the second game, I don't know why I bottomed the 3rd land. I should have just put another 3-drop on bottom. And like in my brain I did it, and then my hand just put the land on the bottom of my library. I was telling Kamari in that game, which, not a great thing to have happen. But in the other one, I was like, okay, we get 2 draws to find the 3rd land, and if we do this, whole hand is live, and we have voice otherwise. I do think it might have been correct for him to Thoughtseize the voice rather than the Enduring Innocence. I understand he can't answer the Innocence if it hits the board very well, but I think Thoughtseizing the voice and then hoping I draw a 3rd land might have been a better out to play too, although I don't know. Kamari's a better Magic player than me, so he probably got it covered.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, Kamari's a better Magic player than you has been called. And obviously, like I said, it looks like you guys had a lot of fun, and this is your first time here at the championship. So I guess I want to talk to you about your thoughts on the event. What do you think of the event, and how do you feel about your preparation at large? You obviously talked about Pioneer. You have obviously 2 other decks that you prepared. Talk to me a little bit through preparing for the event and the event itself from your eyes.
Yeah, so I like to lock in my decks very early. I'm a very cautious person. I locked my decks basically before Foundations came out, and then double checked that I didn't want to change much. I love fair decks. Modern, you can't really play a fair deck. So I'm playing Jeskai Dress Down because I like the play patterns. I like having a lot of options throughout the game. I love Dress Down into Null Drifter. Mull Drifter is one of my favorite cards as a big cube head. So that's why I picked that deck. I talked about why I picked Selesnya Company. Golgari midrange just feels like 2016 Jund. And so that's what we're going for. I love 2-for-1s. I'm a simple man. So that was my deck decision. It was influenced to a degree by Kamari and Charlie were doing, I think, a good bit more testing than me because they have MTGO, and I can't use it. And
wow.
So
okay.
they were giving me information, telling me what I needed to practice against. I printed out the Belcher list a couple weeks ago and made my partner learn how to play it. My partner, who is in and out of Magic, and would not like to play Landless Belcher. But like I kind of needed to get that testing in, so I feel like I tested a bunch, and I'm having a great time. The event's super fun.
Is all of your testing done in paper?
I played Standard on Arena, but yeah, the rest of my testing was done in paper with Kamari, or like a couple other people at our LGS. Shout out Jess, shout out Michael. Our sort of auxiliary testing team. So I did a ton of paper testing, but it was pretty much only with the same small group of people.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
old school.
Really
I love
cool.
it so much.
Yeah,
just
I am
paper only
for sure.
I love it. I mentioned during the player slides that you and your hot take. I mean, Niall called it an ice cold take. I just said, I very much agree with it. So I guess I got a pair of questions left for you, and then
yeah. What was my hot take? I don't remember.
Your hot take was universes be gone.
Oh yeah, I absolutely hate it.
Kamari's hot take was that every 2-for-1 is a hymn to Torok. So I have a question for you: is Collected Company a hymn to Torok?
No, because Enduring Innocence draws you another card. But
okay. So Kamari's just wrong.
Might have been a dig at my cube, which had him to Tarak for a very long time, and it was kind of a power outlier. The mob one, I took it out a couple days ago, actually.
It is a very miserable card.
Yeah, he loves to make fun of me for that. So I don't know. That might have been a dig there. But yeah, sure. Every 2-for-1's a him to Tarak. There's a guy at our LGS who, every time a creature has an attack trigger, he says that's literally Flage. And he's a drafter.
Love that.
So shouts out Atlas.
And final question for me personally: how do you correctly pronounce your last name?
You don't.
I fear I may mess it up.
It's Borgamenki, but if you give up halfway through, I can't blame you.
No, I was just struggling with it because I struggle to pronounce things, so I wanted to make sure that I knew, everybody at home knew Borgamenki. Yeah. Thank you.
Not your fault.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all I had. Frederick, congratulations again. Obviously excellent choice. And I love hearing this story. It makes my heart full hearing someone that is so aligned with me still getting it done in today's era. Very much appreciate it.
All right.
Good luck in the rest of the event.
Thank you all.
Awesome. So love it so much. And as I expected, Frederick, an awesome person to have a conversation with. I think could have predicted that off the player slide alone, and it was a great experience as well. Love it. All of these people, again, somebody that we haven't seen in the champs too much. First time, looks like he's off to a great start. So that is going to do it here for us. Obviously you have 2 more rounds of Pioneer coming up, followed by Standard. You got 4 more rounds, but the show is going to be brought home by other commentators. So appreciate all of you. Remember, if you are here, you're enjoying the show, make sure to click that follow button. There's going to be a whole season next season of Magic, as well as Magic Today and tomorrow. You're going to want to be following the channel for, and as well, one final shout out to Ultimate Guard, and a final shout out to you, Niall. It was a pleasure commentating here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It was a joy to share the booth with you today. We got to watch really cool high-level Magic in multiple formats, which is a real treat to get to watch and commentate on. So, huge thank you to NRG for having us in the booth today. And also huge thank you again to Ultimate Guard for sponsoring the event.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And of course, more coming for you. So that's it for us. You'll have the next round number 5, and that'll be another round of Pioneer coming up very shortly. So don't go anywhere, and the show will be right back.